Hello, dear team. Today is January 13, 2023, and the topic of today's conversation will be the impact of artificial intelligence and tools like ChatGPT to our everyday job and in general to the future. So during last 2 weeks, I was playing with ChatGPT. For those who don't know, ChatGPT is a tool that were released, I think, several months ago, like 3 months ago. And what it does is allows the very easy and convenient access to the OpenAI engine, and helps you in a very easy and familiar manner of a chat communicate with their AI model and ask questions to this AI. So what it does essentially, it answers your question, it helps you to write code, it helps you to write articles and so on. If you look for internet, you will find a lot of information on this tool, how amazingly and surprisingly accurate it is in terms of answering, especially for developers. If you need some code snippet or something like that, this tool very easily will provide you the simple information, or some functions that you might look for in Stack Overflow. Now you don't need to go to Stack Overflow, you just ask in plain language and ask the tool to build you a certain function or a certain file, and it will do this. Same in situation for bloggers. You can ask the tool to write a blog article on certain topic, and the tool will very easily create the blog post on the topic. The conversation that I would like to take today, it's not more on discussion on the tool itself or highlighting how good it works, is to give you my understanding and my feeling on what will happen to my job in a very short term. So my day job is to write essentially documents, and those documents need to have first legally approved. Second, the document should be official, or should contain a formal language, but at the same time should bring useful information, and should be compelling to the party that receives the document. The documents are based essentially on technical information, but it's not documentation of some tool. It's not documentation of some software. It description of that software, but not in terms of how it works or what are the specific functions or what you need to do. It's not a how-to document. It's rather more documents that explain how this tool or this service might somehow solve the problem of the final customers. The problem is that when I see how this tool works, when I see how it generates text, I don't really see value in my job anymore. I mean, this could be very hard for someone to understand, or for someone to get to this point. But if I would be an owner of a company, I would definitely consider having this tool rather having someone. Definitely the tool should be fine-tuned. Right now it's a beta, and as a beta it needs improvements, but as we have seen with many of the tools, the improvements comes very fast, especially if there is a lot of adoption, like is the case with ChatGPT. And this conclusion brings me to the situation where I think, what will I do, right? If if my job is any more useful, and it will not be useful anymore. I mean, we should be honest. Um, we will. I mean, if this will not happen next year or the year after, um, there will be no new jobs created where you will need to create certain type of documents or extend the documents. This job will disappear, and all this, I mean, all these very simple blog posts where you have just maybe some translations from different languages, or when you take one news that might take one line to write, and you simply describe it in 800 words, just changing meanings from up and down, but essentially saying nothing. This kind of works will I mean, it's already necessary. It's already brings no value, and this is a big amount of jobs. This is a very big amount of jobs that will disappear, and especially those jobs are of young people. It's someone that probably it's an entry-level job that someone has studied, for example, IT, and they were hired to some news outlet, some blog on IT, and this is actually the entry level where you start to gaining expertise and experience within a job environment, and you suddenly will lose it. I'm not complaining. I just arrived to this conclusion that in a very short term, my job will not be necessary anymore. I mean, if company will pay me money, it will be more about helping or supporting me or something like that, rather than if I will keep doing the same. This is the point. If I will keep doing the same, so this will be the second part, what we need to do. But if I will keep doing the same, the company will be like NGO for me. They will be paying money for something that can be done much easier, much better by a machine. Much better, really. This machine will not make mistakes that can bring you to the jail, probably. when in my case, as a human, we can do this kind of mistakes. Those who are young developers, those who are initiating themselves in web development, in building applications, being programmer, those are bad news and good news. Bad news because just like in my case, the junior level developer job can be easily done by the machine. I mean, if right now to write maybe some simple React component or simple function, you would need to go and ask some junior developer to write it. The point is that now it's not necessary at all. You simply say, hey, write me a component where I will send an array as a props, and the component will build a list of cards with description and heading, and it will write you in 1 second. And this is absolutely crazy. So this is the bad news, that these young developers will not be able to find their first job, because there will be no young developers anymore. But the good news is that it's very easy to learn writing code now, and even young developers right now are empowered to write an absolute complete applications from the ground up, and without with very basic knowledge of development. So it's very amazing times, and I think we are in the situation very close to what we were maybe 100 years where there was such a big change when people started to 150 years or maybe 200 years when people started to move from countryside to cities, when all these factories started to appear. There will be a very, very important change in terms of how people live, how people behave, how people work. This AI revolution that ChatGPT is bringing to us, it will affect a lot on how we work, because we will not be anymore executors, because to execute something you will have this AI tool that it's much, much better than a human. We'll be becoming more strategic thinkers. We will be thinking on not in the solutions. We will be thinking on the problems. Our main problem will be to find the problem and the relevant problem. We will have to think what we can do and where to put our attention that will maximize the impact on the society, rather than having a very clear and understandable problem and simply executing as a blind executing certain given tasks. For that, if the task is clear, there will be no need of human to execute it. There will be a machine that will be doing it. And this is a big change. This is definitely a big change. We will not be that much problem solvers. We will be problem searchers. We will have to look for the problem, and we will have to find out what will be if we will solve the problem. Because when we will solve the problem for someone, the problem appears for other group. It's very unlikely that when you solve the problem for a certain group, it does not impact in any way to other groups. So we will be somehow a decision makers, policy makers even, rather than tax executors. And maybe you say, hey, this looks like a too high level, no? No, because as we will be empowered by this AI, your job description will be almost blank in the future, because you will be looking for ways how you can improve the organization you work, the workplace you work, and how you can improve you leverage or you liaise with the organization. This could include, for instance, improving the coordination, somehow building better tools, or giving some tools, giving knowledge, sharing knowledge. All that stuff will be something that we will have to think, and the AI will execute. So this will be the job of the future, the problem searcher rather than problem solver. And this is the AI that is applied to our jobs. And when I say our jobs, it's jobs to the people that do some creative work, that do some work that requires a lot of knowledge, lawyers, doctors, physicians, psychologists, developers, definitely. I mean, all writers, all this type of work will, teachers as well, because now you don't need to ask teacher the question. Now you have ChatGPT, which will answer much better the question than you. This will bring us to this new world. And after that we will have a new revolution where the AI will become, even narrow AI will become so developed that even any type of job will be possible to perform by robot, and there we will overcome the physical barrier, because right now we have a physical barrier that does not allow AI to perform certain types of job, and this physical barrier is essentially the hardware that is not there yet. Now Boston Dynamics is trying to create a humanoid, and you see how clunky it is, and how I mean, first of all, the machine like that will be very, very expensive. It will be like a car or even more. Also, even if we look at this model that Boston Dynamics is building, even those models are still very they are not ready for production, and they are very narrow in terms of what they are doing. They are doing very specific, like jumping, running, and so on. This is okay, but then how you make this thing, like cleaning my house, preparing my food, taking dogs to the street, and so on. So it's still not there, but it will be there, and it will be there not in the far future. It will be there in the future that is closer than we think. I will not tell you exact date, but I will tell you maybe in 15 years there will be for sure a robot that will have quite enough or quite broad artificial intelligence to support you in your daily tasks at home. There are some prototypes right now, but definitely this is not what I'm talking about. I mean, you need to care more about robot than robot cares about your home. I'm talking about tasks that are equal or better than having someone coming to your home and clean your house. Clean your house, iron, and things like that. And what will happen then? What will happen if those robots will be cheap enough? It will be cheap enough. They will be good enough to perform certain very repetitive tasks, but at the same time they were able to respond to non-standard situations, and they will have certain broad AI, not to be considered as a simple industrial robot that moves pieces from one side to another, but rather than be as equivalent as a human as probably could be. What will happen to us? No, what will happen to the people? Because we will lose our jobs, and many people will lose their jobs, and they will not have enough time in terms of their lifespan to learn some new profession, because it will be hard to learn new profession. If robots can do almost everything, where you would be able to outperform a robot, especially if you are at some age where it's hard for you to learn maybe some creative, you have some established knowledge of some situation. What you will be doing? Will you lose your job and you will starve at home? People will be having problems with food. What will happen? I mean, who will buy things? Because if everyone will be jobless and robots will be doing everything, who will buy things that robots are producing? This is a big question, no? And here we need to think that at some point we need to create some unit of work that will be taxed at the same level, being you a human or you are a robot, right? it's hard to imagine this right now because people will. I mean, it's very hard to compare people's work with robot work. First, because people will feel that their work is like a robotic work and they are like a robots, and it's not very good comparison for someone who knows that they are compared to robot. But I think we will have to come to something like that at some point, because we will need to raise taxes to ensure the universal income. If robots work uh, and people are not able to compete with robots, there will be a way for people to survive with dignity, and the rise of robots should not jeopardize the humanity as a whole and human beings in each in every case, in each particular person. I really worried about the situation, and I'm worried about my job now. I'm worried that I'm most likely. I mean, it's hard. It's very difficult to understand that you will be probably useless very soon. I mean, it's far from where I stand now to that point, to that situation, but it will happen at some point for sure, and it will happen in your case as well, no matter when you are listening to me. And I am thinking how I can reinvent. And for that, I think it's not enough learning new skills, because the AI will learn the same skill as you do. And interestingly, if you are a super good professional at something, if you are like a superstar at something, you are much more impacted by this artificial intelligence revolution compared to the people that have a good general understanding of everything. If you are as generalist as possible, this will help you to navigate this future, to navigate the world of uncertainty and changing world. Because if you are a very good specialist in one single thing, and suddenly this one single thing is done very well by a robot, or it's done maybe not very well, it's done at 80% of very well, at 80% of your capacity, man, it's possible that many people will see you as absolutely avoidable and unnecessary. So what I will be doing right now, I started some development skills course. I'm not a developer, but I started to learn development to start creating or expanding my base of knowledge. And I will not work as a developer for sure, because I mean I'm less than junior. I have some understanding, but I'm less than junior. But I know a little bit of everything. I have a degree in some topic. I have an MBA in another topic. I have experience in different fields. I'm learning development now. I'm learning the ChatGPT AI, playing around, creating my prototypes. By the way, I'm creating a prototype that will merge uh, Twitter and ChatGPT. So essentially leveraging both APIs from one side to another to build some interesting stuff. And I think at this point, given the uncertainty that we have, this is the only thing I can do. Try to just try to build, just try to expand as much as possible my horizons, the fields where I have some partial knowledge, superficial knowledge, that would give me the fast understanding from a broad view of specific problems. And for the future, again, I really hope that the governments will understand that we will need to tax robots, that we will not be able to work with capitalism, because capitalism was created for 19th century, or 19th century, and it's not applicable now. Absolutely not applicable. If there is no work, or when any work can be performed by a machine, if it can be performed even better than the human do, the capitalism is not working. And I think policymakers understand it very well. If you look at the conversation in World Economic Forum, if you look what they say that we are transitioning from a typical capitalism that we lived in the 20th century, beginning 21st century. We are transitioning to the stakeholder capitalism, and we are all stakeholders. Humans are stakeholders. Robots, machines are not. Humans are stakeholders, and think that if we think about consumers, customers, only humans are actually final customers. Only humans. Because machines don't consume. All the economy is based on humans. So when you say B2B, B2C, everything is B2 human. Everything. Or even more, it's maybe human to human. But that is, there is a lot of raw in between. I would say everything is too human for sure, at some point. And when we speak about economy, when we speak about the future, we need to understand it very well. But when we speak about monetary policy, pricing of the companies, everything is at the end to human. Only humans consume. And the amount of, for example, money in the world should be considerable, should be somehow in line of what humans can consume, how humans can use as humans, right? There should be some amount also for economy to function. But again, I really hope I will be able to come up some global formula that will show what are the difference between what is, if you would be a single economy, which we are, there is no interplanetary economy yet. There is a single economy that is absolutely based on Earth. If we are such a closed economy, what will happen to this closed economy if we will increase the amount of money, if we will decrease the amount of money, if we will introduce robots to it, if people will stop working, if people will stop working and stop getting any income, if people will stop working and will keep getting income, everything will end up as a function of energy needed to maintain some grid of robots, and the rest will be done by robots. What will be the final economy, right? What will be the bets that we'll be betting? What will be the decisions that we are making? What will be our role in this world? This is a very interesting question that I would like to discuss in the future, definitely. What will be the role of the human, where everything is done by machines? Even space travel, even the art, even the business decisions. I mean, everything can be changed, can be done by machines, even now. With this new ChatGPT, you can write operational planning documents for next year, which is a corporate decision making. It will write it for you. Just give some inputs, give the data, and it will write and then explain it. You will definitely have to check it, because it's still on beta. It's still not there. But how much time it will take for this thing to be there? Not much. Not much. Yeah. So I hope that this conversation will help you a little bit in your planning for your future. I hope that you understand that we are right now in the point where many things, there will be a world before this and after, and we are just in the middle of a turn. Amazing time to live, and difficult as well. I will explain you more things on the future in coming conversations, in coming fireside chats, especially things regarding the health, how we will live most likely forever. That will be very interesting conversations, and I want to share it with you because this is something that I was thinking for quite a long time. I'm preparing for a long time, but I also want you to be prepared, and I want to share it with you. And if you want to comment, if you want to give your thoughts on that, if you also are thinking on the same topics, please feel free to comment, or maybe you can propose any topics for me to speak on. I will be happy. So for that, I think it's enough for today's Seldon's Fireside. I appreciate your attention if you listen to it, and see you in the next time.